In Dark Souls, there's only one strict requirement to beat the game: access to Firelink Altar. Once that's achieved, you can wrong warp to the kiln, beat Gwyn, and declare victory. To gain access to Firelink Altar, you need the Lord Vessel, and to either ring both of the bells so Framp's Pit opens, or to beat the Four Kings so Koth shows up. On a single character on the remastered version of the game, the fewest bosses we can achieve this in is 2. Skip the Asylum Demon, skip Quelaag, beat the Gargoyles, skip the Iron Golem, and beat Owendess. In the original version of the game, you also have to beat the Iron Golem, as grab cancels don't launch you nearly as far due to the game running at 30 FPS rather than 60. Now, if we allow the use of multiple characters, on the original version of the game, it's also possible to skip either the Gargoyles or the Iron Golem, but not both on a single playthrough, by using ladder storage and the PCC storage invasion point wrong warp glitch. With that taken into account, the minimum number of bosses a single player can complete the game on is 3 for both versions of the game. But what if we don't restrict ourselves at all, and allow multiplayer too? Is it possible to bring that number down? Let's find out. First, let's look at potential direct skips. For Owendess, there's not much hope. There's nothing much around their arena that could be used to skip them. The elevators in the room don't activate until the fight is cleared, so even if you got past the exit fog gates, you'd still be stuck. The nearest platform outside the arena is low and pretty far from the platform we need to get to, so clipping through a wall somehow is also probably a bust. The only way I see an Owendess skip happening is if a gravity disabling glitch like Teardrop from Dark Souls 3 is discovered. So what about the Gargoyles? Is there any hope for skipping them on Remastered? I was thinking about it and came up with what seemed like a potentially viable way. Kamul discovered a while back that by using ladder storage with the Hornet Ring, running out of stamina mid-riposte cancels the animation and allows you to clip into or through collision. The plan was to make use of this with the help of an invader. First, we need to deal with the Gargoyles AI and the fact that invaders will be sent home if we enter a boss room. We can solve both of these problems by triggering the fight from outside the arena. Clear out all of the enemies on the way to the Gargoyles, then lure, or lure as apparently I've been saying it wrong my entire life, the Balder Knight up to the Fog Gate. Parry and riposte him right up against the Fog Gate, and you'll clip far enough into the arena to start the fight. Run all the way back to the bonfire and rest at it. This will cause the Gargoyles AI to reset and not trigger the next time you enter the arena. From there, you'll want to clear out all of the enemies a second time, and with that done, it's time to bring in the invader. Of course, invaders can't normally enter boss rooms. This is where the riposte clip is going to come in. Get the invader to set up ladder storage on you by performing a backstab at the same time as getting on the ladder, then position yourself so they can riposte clip into the threshold of the Gargoyles' doorway. You can clip straight through the fog gate, but oddly enough, this will cause the Gargoyles AI to reactivate. Once they're in the threshold, they can jump out into the arena and bypass the fight trigger. Now we need to set up ladder storage ourselves. We're going to need to use an enemy to do this, since our invader is already inside the boss room. Run over and grab the same Balder Knight we used to trigger the fight. This time we'll want to parry him by the ladder so we can riposte and get on the ladder at the same time. It's much harder to set up when the enemy you're using isn't doing it voluntarily, but it's still possible. Once you've got it, enter the fog gate and immediately roll so you don't enter the falling state and lose ladder storage right after getting it. You can verify that you've got ladder storage by going into the inventory and seeing if use item is crossed out on any of the items it normally wouldn't be. If it is, you're all set. Now there's a major problem with trying to riposte clip directly through the exit fog gate. The height difference between the players due to the stairs makes getting a riposte impossible. So instead of going for a direct angle, we'll need to offset it while trying to clip into the fog gate. From some quick testing, this angle seemed like the best bet, so it was time to give it a go. First, we spam parry to waste stamina. On the final parry before we run out, the invader attacks and we riposte. The riposte will cause us to run out of stamina, interrupting the animation and leaving us positioned where we were during the animation. Unfortunately, in this case, we just barely can't make it through. I tried this multiple times with no success. So unless there's an angle I missed, we're still out of luck for a direct Gargoyle skip on Remastered. So any direct skips are out for now at least. Instead, we'll need to find a way to bypass the requirement of getting to Firelink Altar altogether. Fortunately, there just so happens to be a way to do just that. Let's begin. To pull this off, we're going to need to do a good amount of setup. We'll need 2 players, with the player completing the game needing 2 characters. Player 1's first step is to create the hero of this journey, the character that will be completing the game in one boss. The first step towards that is to leave the asylum without killing the demon. Run past the demon, grab your weapon, speak to Oscar, and clear out the enemies by the demon's fog gate. If you've been around the channel for a while, you'll already know what's coming next. We're going to perform True Asylum Skip by dropping an item at the right corner of the fog gate, angling the camera a specific way, then picking up the item using A on our controller, followed by entering the fog gate 1 frame later using E on our keyboard. This will cause your character to enter the fog gate at a weird angle, clipping you into the wall, and letting you jump over the railing. I'll link my tutorial for this skip in the description. Now at Lordran, we just need to set up this character to fight Gwyn. There are any number of ways you could go about this, but I opted for the normal speedrun build. Grab the humanity off the well, and brightness dupe it on the way down the elevator. Head straight into the Valley of Drakes, grab the soul by the dragon, and take the elevator up to the bonfire. At the bonfire, you'll want to brightness dupe the soul, which will provide all of the souls we'll need for the rest of the run. Level up and get exactly 20 endurance, 32 strength, and 18 dexterity. Now for the RNG part of the run. Pick up the Grasscrest shield and take out the Black Knight. Hope you get the halberd, and if you don't, reset the run. On your way up the cliffside, smack the Crystal Lizard once and hit it with a Black Firebomb for the Twinkling Titanite. With that done, head straight to Andre and prompt swap from the standard arrows to the longsword to buy a stack of 9 longswords. Bring up another prompt on the longsword to store a quantity of -8 in memory, then use the brightness dupe to drop and dupe our Twinkling Titanite. Now upgrade the halberd to +5, and finish up by buying the Crest of Artorias. Next, open the Darkroot Garden door, grab the bonfire, and become human. The final thing we'll need to do to complete setup on this character is to take out the Hydra. Once you've done that, you can save and quit out, and get started on Character 2. Character 2 has 2 objectives: get to the kiln, and get a means of invading. Again, you don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing here, but this is a fairly fast way of getting set up. Take out the demon, and on the way out, grab the soul on the left side of the path. At Lordran, dupe the soul, then by force, homeward, and 2 talismans from Petrus. After that, do exactly the same things we did on Character 1 on the way to the Darkroot Basin bonfire. We're going to level up slightly differently this time, getting 12 attunement and faith in addition to the other stats, and we're going to attune force and homeward. We're again going to do the same things we did on Character 1 up to Andre. The only difference at Andre himself is that we won't be buying the Crest of Artorias. From there, perform a homeward wrong warp to go back to New Londo Ruins. Meme roll your way down to Lower Blighttown, and it's time to fight Quelaag. The fight with Quelaag should be easy enough with the halberd. If you position properly, you can stun lock her with light attacks, but it's no big deal if you mess it up. Ring the bell, warp out, and head for the elevator back to Firelink. While we could just use the cracked red eye orbs from Firelink as our invasion item, that relies on the luck of actually finding a random invasion. So we're going to go for the red sign soapstone instead, which means going back to the asylum. Once you arrive, run past all of the enemies, avoid falling into the Stray Demon's pit, and take out the Black Knight by the starting cell so you can grab the doll. Warp back to the parish, and it's time for the gargoyles. Have your shield in your right hand for the hollow room in case the doorway blocking hollow doesn't move, and the boss fight itself is easy enough. Another bell rung, and we're off to Sen's Fortress. There's nothing too noteworthy on the way through the fortress, just head to the golem, and with proper positioning you can end the fight in 2 hits. Grab the bonfire in Anor Londo, as there's a lot of things that can go wrong here. Meme roll, or just take the elevator down to the lower area, head across the rafters, and move the rotating staircase. Immediately head down the stairs and enter the Painted World. All we're here for is the red sign soapstone, which can be found at the top of the destroyed tower's stairs. To get past the crow demons, either block them or just wait for them to jump off themselves. Grab the soapstone, then head over to the right side of the path with the undead dragon. If you carefully drop off the ledge, you can land on some geometry below, which allows you to skip straight to Priscilla. We have no reason to fight Priscilla, so run straight past her and return to Anne Orlando. Take the elevator down this time, and carry on through the rest of the area as normal. Grab the bonfire for safety, and then it's O&S. Unlike the rest of the bosses, O&S will require some practice to beat fast consistently, and even then you're still at the mercy of RNG. Get the Lord Vessel, return to Firelink, place the Lord Vessel, become human, and warp to the parish. The final thing we need to do to complete setup on this character is perform one more Homeward Wrong warp to get into the kiln. Player 2's character has the longest journey of all. The Asylum is going to be more or less the same as Player 1's second character, but we won't be stopping in to grab the soul on the way out. At Lordran, our path is going to deviate from Player 1's quite significantly. We need to get the Purple Coward's Crystal, and for that task, I opted for a sorcery build. Head into the Burg and grab the soul under the stairs immediately after the Fog Gate. Now make your way over to the male undead merchant, dupe the soul, and buy the Residence Key, a scimitar, a short bow, the East-West shield, 999 wooden arrows, and 1 standard arrow. Head backwards, clearing out the enemies if necessary, make a precise jump over this railing, and quit out. If done right, you'll load back in on the railing, and from there you can fling yourself to the lower wall with the straight sword hilt. Equip your shield to be safe, then drop down and give the dogs a lesson in fire safety. With that done, free Griggs, then take the shortcut back to the normal path. Head into the building with the locked door and grab the gold pine resins. Proceed forward from there, dodge the barrel, and we're at the Taurus Demon. To make the fight quick and easy, we can perform a specific series of actions after going through the Fog Gate to make the Taurus Demon have a workplace accident. Next, head down the stairs and take a right to meet up with Solaire and get the White Sign Soapstone. Carry on across the bridge and use the bow and standard arrow to make the Drake drop down. Run past him, grabbing the soul here along the way. Carry on to the parish, trigger the Firelink elevator, and head up to the gargoyles. With the scimitar and gold pine resin, the fight should be easy enough, especially if you take advantage of them flinching every 3 hits. Ring the bell, and bone out. I duped the bone using selected item swap, but you can just use it and grab the bones from Firelink if you don't want to bother. Back in Firelink, bring up a drop prompt on your wooden arrows to store a max quantity of 999 in memory, then use the brightness dupe to use 999 of the soul we picked up earlier. Afterwards, head over to Griggs and buy Heavy Soul Arrow, Great Soul Arrow, Ball Control, Great Heavy Soul Arrow, a Catalyst, and both of his rings. With that done, level up, getting 16 attunement, 20 endurance, 45 dexterity, and dumping your remaining souls into intelligence. Attune your new spells, and our next stop is Sen's Fortress. Since we haven't killed Quelaag yet, the gate is still closed. Thanks to the power of Sen's Gate Skip, that isn't a problem. Parry and riposte an enemy by the second pillar from the bottom of the stairs, and you'll clip into the death cam trigger and cause things to stop loading. Along the way, grab and rest at the parish bonfire, then head past the gate and quit out. Head through the first part of the fortress as normal until you get to the room with the sleeping manserpent. By slowly walking off of the platform, then holding run and pressing jump as you fall, you can cue a jump that will trigger when you land on the cage door. Jumping into the breakable wall then quitting out will land your stable position close enough to the wall to break it with the stand-up animation. If you can't get that to work, you can get the Man-Serpent to break the wall with his lunging attack instead. In any case, free Logan, then speak to him before carrying on. When you get up top, grab this soul, head to the bonfire, and dupe the soul we just picked up. With the souls, get 99 intelligence, 12 faith, 19 attunement, and dump the remainder into vitality. Head straight to the golem, and the same two-shot strategy we did with the Black Knight Halberd also works with Great Heavy Soul Arrow. Anor Londo doesn't have anything too noteworthy to mention this time around. Head through like normal, right to O and S. If you want to make the fight easy, use the trigger skip method to take out Ornstein, then just get Smo stuck on a pillar and hit him from distance. With the Lord Vessel obtained, return to Firelink. Head over to Logan and buy Homing Soul Mass and Soul Spear. Make sure to go through his leaving dialogue so he moves the next time we beat a boss. Attune the new spells, then return to the parish. Buy the Crest of Artorias from Andre, head through the Darkroot door, and take out the Hydra. Reload so the shiny Regice spawns in, free Dusk and speak to her, then head to the shore and summon her again. Buy Hidden Body, then bone out. Head through New Londo Ruins to the back entrance to Blighttown. Meme roll your way down to Quelaag and take her out. Ring the second bell and return to Firelink. Now that Logan's gone, Griggs will sell us a second Soul Spear. If you're short of the 40,000 souls, pop one of the boss souls to make up the rest. With both Soul Spears attuned, place the Lord Vessel, and head for the Duke's Archives. We won't be venturing very far here, just take out the DLC unlocking Regice and warp out. We're finally off to the DLC. Make sure to grab the Crown of Dusk before heading inside. We'll immediately face off against the Guardian, and the key to victory is simple. Spam Soul Spear. In the following section, you can use Hidden Body to avoid all of the enemies, and meme roll down the elevator shaft to skip straight to Artorias. Thanks to sorceries being insanely overpowered, Artorias shouldn't be too hard, even if you're playing poorly like I was. Enter the fog gate on the right immediately after leaving the arena, and you'll get the item we came all the way here for. Return to Firelink and go to Petrus for Force, Homeward, and 2 talismans. Then go to Darkroot, become human, and head down to where the Hydra was and Player 1's first character is waiting. Go online, place down your summon sign, and have Player 1 bring you in. Now we need to give Player 1 the Purple Coward's Crystal. The problem is, it can't normally be dropped. Fortunately, there's a glitch called Drop Swap, which lets you drop normally undroppable items. Highlight drop on an item which can be dropped, and have it aligned in the menu with the crystal. Press left on the D-pad, immediately followed by A on controller, immediately followed by E on keyboard. If done right, you'll now be able to drop it. Drop the crystal, and it's gone. That wasn't supposed to happen. If you watched NG+'s video on beating Dark Souls in alphabetical order, you'll have seen that the Purple Coward's Crystal can be dropped and picked up by another player. So why didn't it work here? Is it because the host didn't drop it? Is it because a different method was used to get it on the ground? No. Neither who dropped it, nor the method used to drop it matter. What matters is that I'm on PC. PC got an extra patch that the console versions of the game didn't. The patch was to fix a remote code execution bug that was present in all of the Souls games. But that's not all it did. It also patched the ability to drop key items to other players. On console, as far as I know, this still works to this day, no problem. But on PC, we're out of luck. So is there anything else we could do? Although it requires a lot of setup, it is possible to get into the DLC without killing any bosses. The Guardian is still in your way though, and there's no known way to skip him. Using the fog gate glitch, you can clip into this tree root and jump almost high enough to land on the upper level of the arena, but I couldn't quite get it to work. Even if you got up there though, you still have to make another seemingly impossible jump up to another section. However, if you did somehow manage to get up there, you could skip right to Oolacile Sanctuary. Artorias has a known skip, so he wouldn't be a problem. It's just the Guardian preventing us from getting the crystal. And yeah, that's it. PC's current patch prevents this from working. On console, all would be well and we could proceed. So our only option on PC? Downpatch the game. If we downpatch the game to the prior version, the ability to drop key items to other players is restored. The problem with that is, we no longer have online access. Fortunately, there's a handy mod called Painted Worlds, which allows us to connect to another player on the old game version. Now normally I wouldn't allow mods in a run like this, but considering this still works on console, and it's not giving us the ability to do something that was never possible without a mod, just restoring something that was possible in the vanilla game previously, I'm allowing it. Now that we're connected on a version of the game that lets us drop key items, perform drop swap the same way as before. This time the item isn't instantly destroyed, and player 1 can see and collect it. Player 1 will now want to go online and switch over to character 2. Put down your invasion sign, and have player 2 wrong warp to the kiln and summon you. That's character 2's purpose fulfilled. Use the black separation crystal to leave, and switch back over to character 1. Character 1 needs to be hollow for this next part, so take a dip in the lake. Return to where we were and jump in the water so the DLC map loads. We then need to perform item swap with the purple Coward's Crystal to be able to use it. When you trigger it, quickly run up to the ladder to unload the DLC map. Because we're hollow and the DLC map isn't loaded, the game is going to be very confused on where to send us, and ends up sending us to whatever invasion map is loaded in memory. In this case, right to the kiln. This is another effect of the PCC storage invasion point wrong warp glitch discovered by Kamul. I'll link to the Souls speedrun wiki page covering it in the description. One side effect of entering the kiln this way is that we'll have no Estus, so we'll want to have a pretty clean fight against Gwyn to succeed here. But the important part is that we made it to the kiln in 0 bosses. Head straight to Gwyn and finish the run. And that's it. This character has successfully completed the game, only beating Gwyn. But, is lower possible? Could you beat the game in 0 bosses? Maybe. There is this interesting patch note for version 1.03 of the game, which states, fixed a bug in which the ending comes up in the kiln of the first flame without defeating the boss when you do specific moves before the boss area. I couldn't find any references to how this was done before the patch, but it does seem to indicate that there is a way to finish the game without fighting Gwyn on older versions. So unless that's found, 1 is the lowest we can go for now. In any case, I hope you found this video entertaining, and I will see you guys in another video.